I have a couple of things. They're connected, of course, but one of them I just wanted to share this. I had had a very difficult relationship with my older son for about 7 years, and this last summer I finally got it. I think, actually, I'm sure that's partially because it was not long after I saw you one time last year. Anyway, I realized that I just needed to let go of all my stories about him and about how hard everything was and how painful everything was. And I've been doing that for all these years. And it just fell off. And then the next day he called. And this was in June, I think. And then he just kept coming and contacting. Not that he hadn't at all, but it was more. And it was different. And he was telling me things and, sharing things with me. And which was, of course, just what I wanted.
I imagine so. Yeah, yeah.
And then we went to visit him this summer, and we had a great time. And we were just like ready to whatever he wanted. We were happy to spend as much time with him as he wanted, but we didn't have any expectations. And he wanted to see us quite a bit. And it was great. And then in September, he decided to come back home, and he moved in with us. He hadn't lived with us for 7 years, but we were it was just like, wow, what fortune, or what wasn't just fortune and luck, but and it was like all directly from that, just from that, which was like what you were talking about this morning about leaving that space. Yeah. Having that space open, and then it just comes through. It just came through so fast. It was such an amazing thing.
Yeah, it's very quick. Very quick. And then when we let go of our own story about things, then we actually become almost like, honey to the bees.
Yes.
And when we have our story, we say, I want the bees. I want the bees. I want to be attractive. I want this person to engage, or my son to engage, or whatever. And yet we're just being like a walking, living, breathing story of the past. Yeah. And then energetically, like nothing's attracted to that. And when we let that go, there's so much more space. And it's quite natural that there's much more attraction when we're lighter.
Available.
When we're really available.
Yeah, and he knew it right like that.
I'm sure he did.
It was amazing.
Yeah. Everybody knows it. Even if they don't know it in their head, energetically, it's sensed instantly.
Yeah. I know. It was great.
Good news.
So the other part is, so then at Christmas, our other son came home, so we had both of them, and we hadn't all been living together for all these years either. And it was really, there was just a lot going on, and it was mostly really good. Some of it was really hard, but I realized in the midst of it, I'd never really seen this so clearly before, of how attached I was. The boys would be together and they would be talking about something, and we'd be like, what are they saying? Look, like every little detail. And I thought, wow, I am really hooked in on this, all these relationships. And so I'm wondering if you can speak some to relationship and how you, I don't know, how to reconcile that kind of attachment with being awake, I guess, or what happens beyond just noticing it and saying, oh, look at that, I'm really attached.
When we really see each other for what each other is, it cuts through a lot of our personal interpretations. I'll give you an example. Years ago, at one of the early retreats I did, my father came to it, whose hence came to lots of retreats. But on that retreat, his eyes opened. And he not only saw what he was, but he saw what I was, which is the same thing. And the way it impacted him, because there I was being his teacher at the moment, and I'm doing satsang, and we're talking, and da-da-da-da-da. It impacted him in a particular way, and all of a sudden, I could just see his jaw dropped. You know, one of those, oh my God moments. And he just looked at me and he says, "You're not my son, are you?" And I said, "No." And, "You're not my dad, are you?" And he goes, "I know I'm not." Because we were seeing each other for what we were primarily, right? The being was never born. It's not what was born. Our parents don't give us our being. They give us the body and the mind and the personality, and that's a beautiful gift. But the unborn, to meet unborn to unborn, to see each other for who they really, really are. On the apparent level, yeah, there's the son-father thing, and that's a fun thing to play in too. But to see essentially who we are, and it transforms the way we relate, because it gets us out of this box of mother, father, son, daughter, lover, husband, wife, friend with history. We see that this is just a very small view that we keep packaging relationship in. And then we relate through that narrow prison. And when we actually see each other for what they are, it's sort of shocking. You know, oh, you're consciousness playing the part of my son. Ah. And I'm consciousness playing the part of your mother. And those are the parts we play, but that's not who we are. When we see that, this tremendous sort of load of karma and past and this space opens up around each other where we're not suffocating each other anymore, right? And we're not identifying through our relationship with each other. Right? It becomes more, we are the same. That's primary, and the parts we're playing become secondary. You see what? And things loosen up in that vision tremendously. Mm-hmm. They lighten up, right?
Yeah, that's really good.
We don't own each other in any way whatsoever.
Thank you.
Yeah. Great. Thanks for coming up. It's quite amazing, especially as you see people that are really close to you. And not just conceptually, but you see it, because it's sort of shocking. And you go, that's what they are. Mom's not mom. Holy smokes. Then there's this possibility of encountering each other as the mystery that we actually are. We're not simply looking at exteriors. It's quite amazing. It really frees us up tremendously. Especially when it comes to relationship. Whoever it is, Husband's not really husband. Wife's not really just wife.